Hello, I'm Penny Sweetser from the Australian National University. In this video, I'll present the work of one of my honours students, Alex Gellel, on a hybrid approach to procedural generation of roguelike video game levels. I'll follow the same structure as the paper, covering the key points. Please refer to the paper for the full details and feel free to contact me for more information. Our paper presents an approach to level generation in roguelike dungeon-style levels, based on an examination of previous approaches to procedural content generation. Our generator aims to create simple dungeon style level layouts that are always playable. We utilize a hybrid approach combining context-free grammars to generate a description of levels and a cellular automata inspired process to generate the physical space. Our generator proved successful at consistently generating dungeon layouts that maintain completability at all times with sufficient variation. We conclude that there is substantial value in hybrid approaches to automated level design and propose a new heuristic by which to assess dungeon-style level content. Rogue is a classic dungeon crawler from 1980, in which the player explores a simple, randomly generated dungeon, with the game resetting after each player death. Rogue gave rise to the roguelike or roguelite genre of games, which is loosely defined by randomized levels and permanent player death. Roguelikes are the main application area for procedural content generation in commercial games, due to their reliance on every play session being fresh. Some well-known examples include The Binding of Isaac and Dungeons of Dreadmore. Roguelikes are also used as a training ground for artificial intelligence. Procedural content generation is the algorithmic generation of data, as opposed to manual creation of input. It offers the potential for infinite content and variation for each play session. Recent high-profile games, such as Minecraft with its procedurally generated worlds, and Fortnite Battle Royale with its random distribution of weapons for players to pick up, have shown that randomness and frequent variation in game content are valuable traits for a game's longevity and success. It also offers the ability to create unique experiences for a game, which allows players to create their own personal emergent stories. Many different approaches have been used for procedural content generation in games, each with its own relative strengths and weaknesses. Our paper reviews the different approaches and presents a side-by-side comparison of the strengths and weaknesses, as you can see here. Many approaches have strengths that oppose the weaknesses of others, which suggests that a hybrid approach could effectively combine complementary techniques to minimize weaknesses. I won't go into the details of the review here, but we select and combine the structure of grammars to generate mission descriptions with the randomness of cellular automata inspired behavior to generate level spaces. We use a classic 2D top-down dungeon inspired by roguelikes and functionally similar to The Legend of Zelda. Dungeons are neither linear nor open world. Designers must impose structural rules to define where a player can explore, while ensuring the spaces are sufficiently complex. Lock key pairs or similar break the level into subsections so that the player must explore the level and overcome obstacles to access the next section. For a level to be playable, all keys must be reachable before their intended locks. Our generator focuses on producing levels to ensure that subsections are controllable and completable. We selected generative grammars to define missions. We recursively generate a single string, which is used to describe as an intended order of room types that a player will visit. The grammar rules enforce the generation rule, so only valid missions are generated. The mission generator rules enforce any necessary structure that might be difficult for the space generator. We start each generation with a rule defining a start and end point and recursively fill in the content. We use a simple recursive grammar designed to output similar but varied descriptions for the space generator. We selected a cellular automata-inspired approach to generate the physical spaces that complement the mission descriptions. The single string from the mission generator is given to the space generator. Rooms are placed one at a time in the order described by the string. At any given time, a single room is considered the current active cell. The generator attempts to move to an empty cell to place the next room. We use two variants of the rules. In the first variant, only the immediate neighborhood is considered. In the second, we search in a randomly selected direction branching from the current section. We call this a subsection search, and it allows the space to appear as though it is growing around a natural cluster. We test two search approaches, a persistent subsection search that always uses the subsection search, and a subsection search on halt that uses the subsection search when the local search fails. We devised a bespoke evaluation heuristic for comparing the interestingness of the generated content. We wanted a way to measure the semi-linearity to evaluate levels for being both structured and encouraging exploration. Our heuristic considers two possible paths through a dungeon. The critical path is the shortest path to complete a level by finding all keys and taking them to all locks. The spine is the shortest possible path between the start and end. Our heuristic calculates the total difference in length between these two paths. The larger the path difference, the more a player needs to explore the map to find the keys. Critical path alone would encourage a single long winding path, whereas the difference between the two paths rewards short spines with branches for exploration. The subtractive value also helps to normalize the value across different sized dungeons. The generator is constructed in two parts. I won't go into the details on the implementation, but the mission generator is a Python script sentence generator, and the space generator is constructed in the Unity game engine. Each space generation rule was tested for 500 generated levels and automatically evaluated both for completability and against the path difference heuristic using pathfinding between the critical points. All tests were conducted on a single manually selected mission description consisting of 58 rooms and 8 lock key pairs. Results of the path difference heuristic were collected alongside completability information for the two subsection search variants. We found that both variants of the subsection search could always generate completable levels with some amount of forced endings, and that persistent subsection search performed better in terms of our heuristic. The persistent subsection search appeared to generate a more varied distribution of rooms than the subsection search on halt, with fewer long uninteresting corridors that lacked freedom to explore. We can conclude that the path difference heuristic functioned as intended, scoring higher on levels that appeared less linear in their overall layout. The aesthetic results of our generator are in line with similar experiments in the field, producing varied dungeon layouts that feel both familiarly structured yet varied. Our generator works as a constructive procedural content generation method as it can create completable levels. Our heuristic could also be used as a search-based approach. Our results suggest that hybridized generative techniques are an effective means of producing interesting, procedurally generated content, which is worthy of further investigation. Our two selected techniques were able to effectively complement each other's generative weaknesses, with the grammar rules providing a structured order that was not too rigid, and the non-deterministic automata providing varied and sufficiently random spaces. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about this paper or about any of our other work.